Well, a very good morning and welcome to Twickenham. You join us for a day steeped in history and tradition as two of England's most celebrated universities clash horns for the Varsity. It's Oxford against Cambridge. And of course, the men will take to the pitch later, but we start with the 32nd Women's Varsity. And this year, the match is being played exactly 30 years since the very first clash between these two sides, when Oxford had to borrow the men's kit and Cambridge had to wear blue and red, as they weren't even allowed to wear the light blue that day. Well, how things have changed. Well, out on the pitch in front of us, we can actually see there's 140 ex-players from both Oxford and Cambridge, which are currently going to welcome the women out onto the pitch here. They're so happy to be here. You can see the smiles on their faces. Perhaps back in many of these players' days, they didn't get to play at Twickenham. But yes, things are very different now. So we're just waiting for the teams to appear at the moment. Alongside me watching here, I've got England international Emily Scarrett, currently England's sevens player. What an occasion for these women to step out, Emily. Oh,
an amazing occasion. You know, when as internationals we get the opportunity to play here at Twickenham, it's one that we absolutely relish and look forward to. So for these girls and guys later in the day to be able to come out here on the hallowed turf that is Twickenham is awesome, and such a special occasion for them all.
Well, we can see them there in the tunnel, just a few little eyes looking across at each other at the moment. Kate Marks on the right of your screen there, the Cambridge captain. She'll be playing scrum half today, and on the left it was Abby de Cruz. Here they come. Well, they make their way past the Rhino Trophy. That's what they're playing for here today, as they come out to rapturous applause from the former players and everyone who's come out here in the crowd here to support these women. They're all on their feet here. An incredible moment for both sides. Some this will be the first time that they're actually playing here. A few of them have done it just a couple of times before. One of our most experienced players out there is actually Hannah Cooper, who'll be playing for Oxford today. But we will now start everything today with the national anthem. Well, we've got a few pleasantries just going on before the anthems get underway. The women just being welcomed onto the field, congratulated before they even get underway. This is the High Sheriff of Oxford and Cambridge, who's working his way down the line here. Of course, on the left, it's the High Sheriff of Cambridge, and then on the right of your screen, the High Sheriff of Oxford. We now have the national anthem. Well, the Union Jack flying high over Twickenham also tells you there is a slight breeze here today. There has been a little bit of rain overnight, but other than that, pretty good conditions. So let's take a look at the teams lining up for you today. We start, of course, with the dark blues of Oxford. So there's your full lineup from 1 to 23. A few to keep an eye on. The captain, Abby de Cruz, the Australian. She'll be lining up alongside an outside centre, Sophie Trott, who actually won the Peggers Bunting award for the player of the match back in 2016. They'll be very powerful, but a little bit lightweight perhaps for Oxford. Interesting to see how they go in that half-back partnership between Ling and Kennedy, both winning their first blues today. Meanwhile, on the bench, they do have 6 debutants. They're coached this year by Kevin Mogridge, who's the former England under-20s coach. Now, meanwhile, for Cambridge, again, Kate Marks, she now steps up into the captaincy position at scrum half. That means Lara Gibson, who was the captain last year playing at 13, she switches to full-back. And keep an eye on the Shuttleworth, the Welsh twins, who'll be playing at 6 and 7 today. Big things expected of them. Also, there's going to be 3 debutants on the bench for Cambridge, and their head coach for the 5th year in a row is Jack Baird.
Just move to the right if you want, it's fine.
As the teams just settled themselves, you can see Nikki O'Donnell, who's our referee today. Big smile on her face. She'll be enjoying turning out at Twickenham just as much as the players on the field. It's going to be Oxford who get us underway. And the kick into the air by Fiona Kennedy, the Oxford fly half, to get us underway then in the 32nd women's varsity match between Oxford and Cambridge. Cambridge with the ball taken on very quickly by Emily Pratt out on the far side. We were talking a lot in the warm-up to this about the vocalness of both sides, and a quick turnover very early here by Oxford.
Release right.
Ling goes in to gather, collected once again by Kennedy. Good teaming up with her forwards there as Bidgood takes it on.
No hands white, no hands white.
Ling, support again by Kennedy. You can see that strong half-back partnership already. Although they might both be winning their first blues here today, they clearly have a strong partnership. Bit of a spinning run coming in there by Katie Collis. Kennedy again. She manages to find her captain there, De Cruz, and out to the far side there.
Forwards, ladies.
Unable to be taken forward by Hurton. And once again, we introduce Emily Scarrett. 74 caps to your name, Emily. But nice to be here and watching a nice game at Twickenham.
Yeah, always awesome to be here at Twickenham. Fantastic, fantastic place for any rugby fan. And it's, yeah, as I say, it's great to be here. Really good start from Oxford. It'll be, you know, so important in games like these, big occasions, for them to just get some phases going, just, you know, start using their forward runners. Showed really good shape in that first phase of play. They'll just be a little bit disappointed, obviously, with that forward pass at the end. But, you know, they're settling into this game with a good bit of possession early doors.
A first chance to take a look at this scrum, and Oxford had a little bit of a nudge on then, but it was Cambridge who've come away with the penalty. I know you love talking about scrums, don't you, Emily? So you can tell us all the technical bits that went in there, can't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I try not to get too stuck into scrum chat, but ultimately it's a Cambridge penalty, and I'm sure they'll be looking to get some good territory and ultimately some first phase of possession for them in the Oxford half.
Well, it's Lara Gibson who clears there for Cambridge, and it's the first time that the Light Blues will have the ball inside of the Oxford half.
Just work hard to stay
Lara
square throughout the
Gibson is
front
a former Cambridge captain herself, and she will be providing a huge amount of experience for them today. As Emma Pearce steps up to get this ball back in motion. Our first line out. A little messy, but Cambridge won't mind. They've got on it. There's big pressure coming in from Apara. And here comes that first attack. Jenny Shuttleworth taking it forward.
No hands, 8.
Marks teams up nicely there with her forwards. Looks to Elgar. Elgar winning her 5th blue at Twickenham today. Back down the Cambridge line. Big strong run there by Mary Coleman.
No hands now,
Still
blue.
only 20 years old, Mary Coleman, but this is her 3rd blue. Nice snipe, that's what we expect then from Kate Marks. That's why she's there in that scrum half position and captain today. She's a former Cornwall under-18s captain. Perhaps had a little bit more time on a rugby pitch than many of her teammates, and they'll really look to her for that experience. Good phases here from Cambridge. There comes the mistake. It's gone forward, but up until that point, they've made a good 20 metres there, Cambridge, but that little mistake means we restart with an Oxford scrum.
Kept the ball really well then, and similarly to we spoke about Oxford, it's just important in the early doors of these games just to get some phases going, get everybody touching the ball, get everybody comfortable. Twickenham is a huge occasion for anybody, you know, let alone a lot of these players who are playing here for the first time. So it's just really important to get comfortable, get hands on the ball and see where you can go.
The first scrum that we saw came away with the Cambridge penalty, but it's Oxford who run away with this when they get the put-in. Strong running legs coming in from Cooper to secure, but big pressure going on at the ruck here from Cambridge. Have they got the turnover? It's a mess. Someone has to cough it up. Somehow Oxford have held on to that. Blimey. Here comes Opara. They were under such intense pressure there. No doubt their coach, Kevin Modridge, will be delighted. Oh, there was a hand on that from Cambridge, and it's managed to slow down the passage of the ball. So that means it will be an Oxford put-in.
Yeah, it's smart from Fiona Kennedy. That ruck was absolute chaos, carnage. It probably could have been a penalty either way if you look close enough at it. But it's one of those where, again, you just got to settle. So she puts boot on the ball. She gets a little touch on it, but ultimately it ends up in actually them keeping possession, and another opportunity for them to unleash their backs. Really looking forward to seeing their backs go today. I want to, hope this line-out can give them some really good ball to go from.
Big good weights.
Let's play, ladies.
As they've gone for reduced numbers in the line-out here. A nice line-out also there from Oxford. They'll be delighted with that, and it gives them a good platform to set up this maul. Still moving. Eventually it's going to be collected, and Bernier takes it forward. Good 10 metres made by Oxford from that line-out, so good set piece. Collis.
Stay there, 6, thank you.
Really nice shape there from those Oxford backs. They were really stretching themselves, really testing that Cambridge defence. Looked like the ball was nearly ripped there by Cambridge, and you can see the tussle going on the ground, and it is going to go the Cambridge way. A lot of that credit has to go to Cambridge 13, Bluebell Nichols.
I think the Oxford outside backs will be a little disappointed there. They had so much space on that left-hand side. They've just got to move it that extra pass. They had a forward runner, not in the way, but in the channel. So it's one of those where you go behind them, use that space out on the edge. I think they've got some absolute wheels out on that left-hand side. Just give them the ball early doors, let them stretch, let them see what they can do.
Well, Bluebell Nichols there, who made a lot of that from Cambridge, has really come on with her rugby. She was playing out on the wing last year. She's moved into that 13 position, and it's that kind of rugby now, so you can see why she's being moved further inside the field.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes at fullback, at wing, you don't get a huge amount of opportunity to be really involved. Often it's one-off chances, so to be in that centre position is crucial for her to get really involved and use all her skill set.
Big shoulder being shown there by Cambridge Mary Coleman. Slightly high coming in there from the Oxford captain De Cruz. Referee happy for play to continue. Well, is that a ruck? It looks like there's definitely hands in there, and yes. Taken quickly then by Cambridge. Nichols once again, who's had a stormer in the last minute or so, the Cambridge 13.
Release 2 blue, release. Hold.
Another little snipe from Mark. She's done it a couple of times now. Is that ball still being played on the floor? Oxford collect.
Still have one.
Ling. Big running again by Opara. She plays it.
No hands, white.
4. She's a Keble College student.
Advantage
Opara.
over.
History, and the ball goes out to the far side. Oh, slightly loose, well held onto by Oxford. Good hands, and they're still going out on the far side, but all of a sudden those light blue shirts just arrive. I think they arrived just in time as well. Oxford have slightly been on the back foot whenever they've had this attacking ball. They need to find a way to go forward when they're in this position. Nice kick then from Kennedy. Has she found space? They're trying to track it down on this near side. There's the bounce of the rugby ball, and it goes the way to Sydney Sofa, the tight head for Oxford. And can they find a bit of space here? Wonderful hands there by De Cruz. Really strong as she sets it up nicely. It's a real scuttering ball on the floor at the moment. Both doing well to hoover it up.
Thank you. Hold.
This is a strong attack from Oxford. This is what they wanted, the go forward. Ling. Kennedy again. Big pressure coming in, the flying face there, but it's going forward now after he pops out on that left wing. She's nearly run out of room. She's doing well to keep her tiptoes inside the whitewash. Kennedy teams up well there with Fiona Shuttleworth. She places it backwards. Here comes the crossfield kick. Is this an opportunity? It's being read very nicely by the captain of Oxford, De Cruz. She gets the pass away on the far side. Was it forward? Wigginton thinks she's away, but it does go forward despite the scramble. And they will come back. But what a wonderful passage of play there from Oxford.
Love that, absolutely love that. So many phases. I'd love to know how many phases Oxford just got through. In the previous passage of play, we spoke about how, you know, perhaps there's an opportunity out wide for the backs, and they certainly used it in that opportunity there. Just going behind the forwards, looking at all that space out on that left-hand side. Really, really nice play for them, and actually just mixing their game up nicely. Kennedy's starting to kick the ball a little bit now. We've seen it hit the turf. As soon as a rugby ball hits the turf, it can literally go anywhere. So really nice variation from Oxford.
Not played 10 minutes yet. We've seen Fiona Kennedy with that crossfield kick a couple of times now. I don't know if it will be a tactic we see more from the Dark Blues, but Cambridge survived that first real scare from them. Pratt taking it on.
Good turnover.
Very well stolen there by Oxford, and they've got it at the end of the field that they want. Taken forward once again. Back down the dark blue line, it's the captain, De Cruz. She's got support in there from Trott. Trott running out of space, can't get that last pass away. And the field just doesn't give Oxford the room to cause any damage.
No, and it's really good defence from Cambridge as well. We speak about all the space that Oxford have got out there, but they've got to try and preserve it. And similarly, you know, as Cambridge, when you realise you've got a hell of a lot of space to try and defend, it's really important that you just hold your feet, you back off a little bit. It doesn't matter then how much ground you give up, because ultimately they've tackled them into touch and got the ball back.
Taken short up front by Elgar, as Cambridge are desperate to try and get out of this 22. They've been stuck down in this area for a long time now. They won't be happy with this as Bramley takes it forward. Here comes Kate Marks with box kick. Nice and strong from her. Well collected there, and still going forward here by Oxford. It was picked up by their left wing, Hannah Potts. Studying cardiovascular science. I think everyone needs a little bit of cardiovascular help at the moment, because the pressure's on Cambridge at the moment, collected eventually by Lara Gibson. She has to get the pass away to Marks. Marks won't look to clear. She passes it on, using all the time. But it wasn't cleared before Amelia Miller was forced into touch, and what an attacking platform here for Oxford.
Amazing opportunity now for Oxford. We just see the difference there in the two sides kicking games. It's one of the biggest cliches in rugby, but a kick is only as good as its chase, and Oxford were able to counter really well from Marks's kick. Similarly, off Kennedy's kick, they chased it really well, they pressured. Ultimately, they've turned them over into touch, and have now got a fantastic opportunity at the line-out.
Well, we saw a very nice maul in the last 10 minutes from Oxford. Can they repeat? Oh, they've missed the woman at the back. It's going to be collected by Cambridge.
Play on.
It's gone backwards, says our referee, Nikki O'Donnell, but somehow Oxford have got it back. Play on, there's space out on the far side. They don't give the pass. Kennedy didn't see it was there. Trott has to take into contact. That's that opportunity lost from Oxford. They go once again. Kennedy involved. De Cruz, she's lost the ball. And it's gone out of play on the far side. Did it go forwards first?
Into touch, scrum or line
Bluebell
out.
Nichols is having a fantastic start to this game. We've seen her carrying the ball so well, and then on the other side of the rugby game, such strong defence there. Really solid shot, dislodges the ball, and again, it's not an ideal positioning for Cambridge, but it means that they get the ball back.
Bluebell Nichols, she studies Anglo-Saxon, Norse and Celtic at King's. No doubt we'll be hearing lots of very sensible English language throughout this match, of course, as everyone behaves very well, as Cambridge still stuck down in the 22. Will try and clear once again. It's going to have to be once again Emily Pratt who has to put her body on the line, because they've lost the ball again at the breakdown, but it's a penalty to Cambridge.
Rucks formed, no hand 7.
It's the ideal situation, isn't it, for Cambridge? I thought they were going to try and keep it in that scrum and just force that penalty. It's an easy way out when you're really stuck down in that bottom corner of your 22. But yeah, from Oxford's point of view, when you're in that position, you've just got to squeeze. You've got to be squeaky clean. You've got to try and force errors as they have done in the past. It's a little bit of an easy out. The kick hasn't gone too far, so they'll get another opportunity to force pressure.
Tricky times then for Cambridge, but they will have the line out here. It's been very hard to really know who's the favourite going into this match, because both the Oxford and Cambridge women, they play in different leagues. Cambridge are in the league below, and they've won everything they've played so far this season. Whilst Oxford, they're actually in the higher league. They play in the Bucks Rugby Union Premier South. That's against some of the best teams in the country, and they haven't won anything yet this season. So it's very hard to tell who would actually be on top here. But it's another penalty opportunity here for Cambridge.
Apologies.
Taken quickly by Marks. Pat works it forward. And I think the Cambridge coach, Jack Baird, will be a little bit happier with this last minute of play from his side. Elgar. Marks looks to her forwards once again, not looking to unleash those backs just yet. You have to say the pressure coming in from Oxford at every ruck is incredible, and they've done well to turn that over again. I don't think Cambridge have been used to this when they've been winning so much ball. 6 from 6 so far they are in the league. Well, 7 from 7 actually. Maybe they're not used to this real contest that they're experienced today. On the halfway, it's Oxford ball. Ling looks up, keeps it tight. Just taking their time here. There's a real composure to Oxford, which again you wouldn't perhaps necessarily expect with that very young half-back partnership between Ling and Kennedy. And that's gone nicely over the head of Farrant, who has to turn and gather. Oh, there's a missed tackle there. Was that significant, as Helen Potts couldn't quite get there in time? But flying in comes Sophie Trott. And that's what we expect from the Dark Blues 13.
That's an absolute shot, isn't it? That's such a good tackle from Sophie Trott. Great to see Cambridge trying to run themselves out. Kicking game hasn't been perhaps where they'd want it to be in this early part of this first half, but that is one hell of a tackle. And again, Oxford, fantastic opportunity now at this line out to go and attack.
Trott there, in her 4th year now of studying a Masters in Chemistry at Wadham College. So still 0-0 in the Varsity, and it's been Oxford who's perhaps had just slightly more of the opportunity with the ball. Early on it was Cambridge, but it's all been about Oxford for the last 10 minutes or so. Nice one hand there taken forward. Here comes the Oxford captain, can't get that pass away. It's loose on the floor, and Cambridge gather.
It's lost forwards, ladies.
Well, a little bit fortuitous perhaps there from Oxford, because they've got the scrum.
Yeah, a little bit, but I love this. Just spinning the ball, holding it in one hand. Love to see that. Just taking people on, taking the space available to her. Fantastic hands in the first place to gather that ball. Great to see that from Oxford.
Well, she's an Australian there, the Oxford captain, Abby de Cruz. She's actually on a 2nd degree now. She formerly went to the Australian National University. She's in her final year now at Oxford studying clinical medicine. Popped off ball. Is this the opportunity then that Oxford need? It's Sophie Trott going forward. She knew not to pass there to Wigginton. She knew the space was running out, and they set to go back in the other direction. There's women out there, but it's all a little bit tight and congested down the midfield. Apara.
Ball is available.
Ling sees Kennedy, is the big pass. Oh, she's kicked over the head. The chase is on. The bounce of the rugby ball. Who's going to land it? It's going to be Farrant who takes it for Cambridge. And again, Fiona Kennedy not afraid of using that boot as an opportunity. What a contest here at this breakdown.
Hold.
Oxford just do not give up at the ruck. And here's space down the far side wing. Still being taken forward. The opportunity always taken there by Jenny Shuttleworth, who saw the ball and thought, I'll have this, I'll take it. On the counter, here comes Cambridge.
Tackle!
Well, let's listen in to the ref.
Captain. Relax, ladies. We've had 3 penalties at the breakdown for the tackler not ruling.
Okay,
We need positivity. Have a chat.
Well, there you go, Emily. A little bit of a warning there from our referee, and you have to say Oxford have been ferocious at every breakdown.
Yeah, they have. They just got to make sure that they're doing it in a legal way, I suppose. But you see Shuttleworth just... Cambridge haven't necessarily built pressure in terms of phases and how they've gone about their business, but they've really have picked up those opportunities. That one there, just a cheeky little run down the blind side. If nobody's there, take the opportunity. You know, sometimes you've just got to pick your head up and play what's in front of you.
Well, there's a little bit of treatment going on to a couple of players at the moment. As you can see, the bottom bowl is really filling up here at Twickenham. Kate Marks there
Scrum time.
has got the very glamorous
she won't push you back.
lady sanitary product at her nose just to try and control a bit of bleeding. There's Jack Baird, the Cambridge coach. As we said previously, this is his 5th year now. He's also done a little bit of coaching with Saracens women. And if you don't know, Saracens women, they're currently at the top of the Tyrrell's Premier 15s table at the moment, getting very tight there. We'll talk a little bit about that league at half-time with Emily. And here comes the Oxford head coach, Kevin Modridge. He's a former England under-20s coach. He's come in after Gary Street, the former England coach, used to coach the Oxford women for a number of years. He's also, interestingly enough, the head coach of Sweden's women. And they're ranked 17th in the world at the moment. But I think both men, there's not too much to complain about. Both are playing a strong style of rugby, perhaps Oxford just a little bit happier.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're just building phases a bit better. I think they had an 11-phase attack not so long ago where they're using their whole side, so they're using their big powerful runners through the middle, then they're going out the back and using the opportunities that the backs are creating. Just love to see them a little bit straighter, you know, classic run straight and pass, just to hold up that Cambridge defence, because it's just letting them drift off, and we've seen quite a few tackles into touch and that sort of thing. But yeah, really strong start from both sides, and you know, a 0-0 in a game like this that's been so kind of tightly contested is I suppose a great start.
Well, we famously talk about the match from 2 years ago that did finish 3-0 between Oxford and Cambridge. Oxford the victors that day. I do believe that penalty was scored in the first half at around 23 minutes, so we're level pegging with that match so far. If you're wondering who won last year, it was Cambridge. Ball goes in then, an attacking platform then for the light blues, going forward inside of the right half of the field. Here comes a Shuttleworth in the form of Jenny. Medical student working the hard yards there for her team. Marks looks up. Once again, it's Elgar, and Elgar's taken a lot of forward balls so far for Cambridge. Chan was actually on the bench in the Varsity last year. Very happy to get her start. Nice popped off ball. Ferocious tackle going in there by Opara. So far, this defence from Oxford has been very strong. Loose ball there. Somehow Cambridge hold on. And you would expect this kind of defence from Oxford, with the kind of season that they've had. They've said they do play in a very tough league in the Bucks League.
CURUC is
Premier
fine.
South. And they haven't won a match so far this season, but that means they've spent a lot of time defending. They know it well. There's a well-held ball there. Trot goes in to play scrum half. Well,
There's no
a little bit
advantage.
forward there. I think most people could see that one.
And then by blue in the pass.
A bit of a mistake there, but Oxford hold on to the ball.
Yeah, they do, and again, they're going through their phases. Been really impressed with both centre partnerships for Oxford and Cambridge. They're really heavy hitting, not taking any prisoners in terms of when people are running into them, and similarly when they have their ball, they're really carrying and testing defences. And you know, at some point in this game, something's going to give, and it wouldn't surprise me if it comes from through the middle with either of those centre partnerships.
See Ling there, just took a massive deep breath, sucked in a bit of oxygen, ready to go again. Back then to De Cruz. She uses that right boot down the field. Not taken cleanly by Miller, but it's all gone backwards. Manages to shrug off the first defender. She's still going, looks back inside, keeps her feet inside. Oh, this is tight here from Cambridge, but they can't get the final pass away to Pratt.
Hold. Advantage over.
That boot of Kennedy regularly being used. Not interested in playing inside of that half, and Kennedy does manage to clear it back down the Cambridge end. Well, a little bit of a warning there going in, but so far Oxford have been good since the referee has spoken to them, and they've won that penalty.
Run into your own player now. Obstruction.
Yeah, Kate Marks all game has been trying to have a little sniff around that breakdown, see if the guards are alive, see if they're awake. Again, she's having a little look there. Unfortunately, she just runs into the back of one of her own players, which obviously is obstruction and a penalty, but she's lively, she's looking at those opportunities. She's just got to get the balance right between using her forwards and taking those snipes.
Well, no touch found by Oxford. Cambridge live again. Opara knew as soon as that happened that was high. The advantage is coming Oxford's way, or Cambridge's way, and they'll come back for the penalty.
4 blue high.
I don't think it needs any more than that. Opara knew straight away, comes back inside. That was taken very quickly by Kate Marks.
Not 10.
Yeah, it's smart play from Kate Marks. She knows the player in front of her is nowhere near 10 metres back, so if she taps and runs straight into her, they're going to get a penalty, and they're going to get the penalty 10 metres further down the field. Just looking here at the high tackle, I'd suggest she's probably a little lucky to still be on the field in terms of the new regulations and laws surrounding high tackles and really protecting the players in terms of that. But as we see, Cambridge now possibly for the first time in Oxford's 22.
Ladies, back 10.
Voice of Emily Scarrett here with us, who of course captained Team GB at the Rio Olympics in the sevens. Veteran of 74 England caps, one of them quite famously at the 2014 World Cup final. Delighted to have Emily here with us as Cambridge attack down the far side wing.
Lost now, blue.
Ball comes away down the line. Nicely taken on by Coleman. Cambridge need to work on this attack a little bit harder. This is a big opportunity for them. Kate Marks looking up again. Still a bit stodgy for them. Really finding it hard to unleash their players because it's such a strong defensive line so far from Oxford.
No. It's your scrum. No. You're just having a scrum. There's too many bodies.
Strong refereeing there by Nikki O'Donnell.
Yeah, I couldn't exactly see what had happened there. So, yeah, sometimes rucks and breakdowns can be an absolute mess. And ultimately, both sides will want quick ball from it. And if that's not happening, restart the game. It's a fantastic opportunity now for Cambridge, a centre field scrum. You know, in Oxford's half, you just spoke about, we haven't seen their backs unleashed. We haven't seen what they're capable of. We know Oxford's defence is very strong, so it'd be great to see them have a little run here.
Well, Cambridge have lined themselves up, attacking mainly on the left field. They've only left one player on the right, and it is right that they go. Pratt taking it forward. Cambridge really trying to go forward with this attack. But again, at the breakdown, it is Oxford who come away with the ball. They're going to have to be careful there. That was nearly a maul. They just managed to wrestle it down to the ground. Not looking to go to the boot there. Again, De Cruz thought about it. Here comes Trott. Trott tries to go with a big handoff. She ends up with the ball in touch. Nice stuff, but not enough room.
Not quite enough room. Fantastic defence again there we see from the centres in Cambridge. Lovely skill with the ball there. That one-handed offload. So hard to defend. When players are doing that, you've just got to really, really go hard. Try and tackle and try and dislodge that ball. It's really nice play from her.
Again, short numbers in the lineup and nicely taken as well. Up front there by Cambridge. They need to recycle quickly.
Backwards,
over the heads, but still in the hands there of Coleman. She's well dispatched by her opposite number, De Cruz. Marks looks up. Back down the line, hacked on this time by Nichols. Foot chase is on, needs to be gathered by Hurton, who's going to be under pressure here. Farrant tracking her down. Shuttleworth arrives now. Don't know if the referee's going to look at that tackle. It'd be interesting to see if she does go back and have a look at it, if there was arms in there. But play on, says our referee O'Donnell. Here it comes, it's coming through Bluebell Nichols. She's going to be held up over the line, and they will come back for the scrum. But it was a Shuttleworth in there who got a big clatter in there.
Team discipline needs to improve.
I think it was Fiona Shuttleworth there, chasing the kick. Nice little option there, loads of space in the backfield, chasing that kick through. Great initial tackle, and then she absolutely clatters her, gets back to her feet, steals the ball. And it's a decent option to go quick there for Cambridge. The Oxford were a little bit all over the place. They're the ones you just got to put your head down, dive low, dive for the line.
Up we come.
Well, they're going to reset then this scrum.
Give us something to aim for.
A little bit of a chat there going to Hazel Ellender. A loose head for Oxford.
Bind. Set.
Here comes the heave and the push then from Cambridge. Round the outside goes Marks, but they would have known that was coming. Oxford, the big pressure piles in at the ruck. Once again, a Cambridge opportunity. It's Pratt going forward, Pratt over the line, and the first try of the match goes the way of the Light Blues. It was off a scrum, and it is Emily Pratt winning her third blue, who opens the scoring in the women's varsity.
Fantastic phase of play. If I was to put money on one side to score first, it might have been Oxford, so it's great to see Cambridge getting over the whitewash. We stood just above all of the Cambridge supporters and every single one of them on their feet. So you can just see how much it means to them and the players on the field. Again, smart little option there around the scrum. Bernier from Oxford has defended that scrum threat so well. She did it earlier as well, and then it's just the power of Emily Pratt. Ultimately, a number 8 v a winger. There should only ever be one winger, and it's fantastic identification by her to see that, put her head down and get herself over the line.
And all the forwards just piling in there to share in the delight of Emily Pratt, the 22-year-old. She's studying natural science and biology. And that's a kick that they'll forget for the highlights reel, I think. Not one for Alice Elgar to remember. But still, it's Cambridge who are up on the scoreboard. And Oxford are just having a little bit of a regroup under the posts, thinking about how they can maybe change up a few things. They haven't played badly at all, but Cambridge have had the opportunity and they've taken it.
Yeah, that's just the difference. I think Oxford by far had many more opportunities in terms of the amount of time they've had the ball, how they've used the ball, etc. But ultimately, it's about taking those opportunities. And if you only get one, but you take it, you know you're going to win the game. And it's it begs for an exciting prospect now, because Oxford now want to get back down into the Cambridge territory, want to keep hold of the ball and really put some pressure on.
Restart then from Oxford. Still 12 minutes to go until the break. Was that a little knock on? Oh, big piling going there from Oxford. Comes away. Referee's happy with those tackles. Play continues. Still Cambridge ball.
Tackle, release blue.
Placed back by Bramley. Gimson. She manages to feed her backs, and the forwards come in, they take on duties. Gimson looks up once again. Coleman offers herself up. Coleman very high up, and you can see Oxford, they're just slightly there trying to hold up. Eventually Gimson works her way down to the floor. Oh, the arms just flying in there from both sides. Eventually the ruck is calmly set and Oxford have it. Is this their opportunity? This time it's Cooper. Looks up. Opara. Big hits going on higher.
Lost now, White.
Back down the line. De Cruz knows there isn't a lot of space there. She loves holding the ball in one hand as De Cruz's trot goes forward again.
Tackle, release White.
Ling. There's Kennedy. Uses her forwards. This time through Collis.
Ladies, apologies, we've got Doctor on the field. It'll be a blue scrum when we restart. Time off.
Well, there you go. You heard there from our referee, Nikki O'Donnell, that she has just stopped play. We've got a couple of Cambridge players down off. I think that was the clatter actually from quite early on between Mary Coleman. This was from the actual start. Question about, I think they might be having a little bit of a look at this because of the arms in these tackles. That's Jenny Shuttleworth who gathered the ball. Opara was the player that came and they clash heads. You can see her hold onto her nose straight away. You can almost feel it, can't you, Emily?
Yeah, you can. You don't really ever want to be on the receiving end of shots like that. I think Opara just needs to be a little bit careful. She was the player we spoke about earlier in terms of the high tackle as well. Just got to make sure she's going lower. She is taller than many players out there, but she's just got to be careful in terms of the height that she's come into some of these tackles with.
Harry, can we have a blood replacement?
Well, you can hear that. A blood replacement could well be coming on here. We'll keep a close eye on how they change things around here. So it looks like Mary Coleman is going off for blood.
Blood replacement.
Yes. You can see Sydney Bradshaw is currently warming up. We can also see that Yoa Koshizaki is also warming up as well. So the first one is Mary Coleman going off. Coming on in her place is Sydney Bradshaw. She's our Canadian. And also coming onto the field of play, we do have Yoa Koshizaki. She'll be coming on for Shuttleworth. We're just confirming if that second one's also a blood substitute or if that is a permanent replacement. Well, our referee Nicky O'Donnell is going to reset with a scrum. Just confirmation there that both of those are blood replacements, so opportunity for both women to come back on the field of play.
Crouch.
If the doctors deem it to be the right thing.
Bind. Set.
So Oxford were going forward before we had that slight stoppage. Ling there. Oh, wonderful tackle coming in. And that was a Shuttleworth twin, maybe just dishing out after she saw her sister go off. Could get feisty here in the women's varsity.
Sorry, ladies.
It's definitely personal when it's your sister, isn't it?
It is, and it's always personal in varsity, whether it's Oxford, Cambridge or any other varsities around the country. They're always feisty affairs, and because it means so much to each side. You build so much towards these games in terms of your calendar, and they're always really, really big games in terms of what you're planning towards and what you're playing for.
We're waiting at the moment for marks. Let her front rows both settle.
Set.
That's come straight back out the tunnel, so they'll probably just reset that one again. It's filling up nicely here at Twickenham at the moment. Plenty of people just trickling in. Of course, you've got the men's varsity coming up a little bit later here today. It's a 137th meeting between Oxford and Cambridge men. And it'll be Cambridge, they'll be chasing their third win in a row. It's on BBC Two later. Gets underway at 2:45 with a 3 o'clock kickoff. Real pressure going in from Oxford. Oh, massive clatter on that far side, and the referee does not like it.
It's a heckle.
Well, there we go. First yellow card of the match. Oxford have been warned. And finally, it goes the way of our Canadian Maria Bernier, who ends up in the bin. She actually grabbed her by the pigtail.
Yeah, they're really, really unfortunate ones. I've been on both sides of those. It's one where she's obviously missed the tackle in sense, and she's tried to grab at a shirt. And obviously in the women's game, lots of people have long hair, and unfortunately she's just grabbed hold of the hair. It's a shame. I can't say it wasn't coming from an Oxford point of view. They've probably lived on the edge a little bit in terms of the penalties that they've given away at the breakdown in terms of some of the tackles, so it's probably a fair call.
Well, the eyebrows that flew up there from Bernier as she went off the field, I think said it all. Right, Oxford down to 14 for at least the rest of this half. Ball comes back then for Cambridge. They've got the extra women on the field. What can they do with it? They've already got that 5-point lead. First time we've really got to see Bradshaw on the field since she came on as a blood replacement. Turnover then for Oxford. Opportunity going forward from them. They kick through despite the fact that they're a player down once again. And Kennedy very happy to kick it away. And for the time being, Cambridge happy to run on with the ball. Nice stuff coming in there. They managed to keep it inside the ball. Gibson had to throw it away in the end. It flew towards this near side. They gifted back possession ultimately. They almost seem to be gifting each other possession at the moment in both directions.
Yeah, they do. I think, to be fair, there's been some fantastic turnovers at the breakdown, but it's probably come from just being a little bit light in numbers from the attacking side, not quite getting with each other, not quite securing the ball enough. But the back row of Oxford, Cooper, Murison, they're having a field day in terms of the Jacqueline position. Once they're over the ball, they're so strong, it's so tough to move them, and they're getting their just rewards.
It's loose down the middle there. Oxford hold. Kennedy looks up, De Cruz is there, here comes Trott. Right, there's an opportunity for Oxford, despite the fact they're playing with the one less on the field. Somehow Cambridge closed down the gap. Loose on the floor again. Cambridge get it, Marks with the clearance. It's not really gone that far, but it looks like there was a little Oxford hand that went on it, so it means Cambridge have got the put in at the lineup.
Great stuff from both sides there. You see Oxford have so much space out on that left-hand side. Cruz just moves it, draw and pass from Trott. Then it's a foot race, and it's a fantastic tackle from Laura Gibson. Getting across there, as all good fullbacks should do, taking last man, making sure, protecting their try line.
Ball comes back down the Cambridge line. That's a mistake. It's gone forwards. Advantage then to the Dark Blues. We do have a player down. Looks like it's all right. It's Bradshaw. He's back on her feet nice and sprightly.
For me now, someone just needs to get hold of this game a little bit. It's been a little bit scrappy for the last 10 minutes or so since Cambridge scored their try. It's where the 10s, the 9s, the 8s, the players of the spine of each team have really got to take a hold of this, carry hard, look after the ball, play in the right areas of the field. You know, again, all those rugby cliches that are just imperative to the game. They've just got to get a hold of it and make sure that they're building possession. And again, as we say, something will break at some point, but you've got to keep hold of the ball.
That's a big scrum coming in from Cambridge. Somehow Oxford have held on to it. Kennedy, she doesn't kick on the ball. She wants to hold on to it.
13, release 13. Good.
Ling trotters there. Sees the space. Nice running line coming in there from Collis. Back again from Kennedy. Manages to get it to Big Good. The Earth Sciences student. Nice back inside there to Morrison. Oxford, they're being very patient at the moment, and they need to be with one player less on the field. Here comes De Cruz, support on the outside of her through Hurton. Hurton's still going forward. Oh, keeping her tiptoes inside of play. She's still going forward. There's a lot of bodies underneath that ball. But Hurton, the power to keep going down that wing as she was surrounded by Cambridge defenders.
It's a fantastic run from her. Again, spaces out wide, they get it there through De Cruz, and she has absolutely no right to keep going here and go through as many players as she does. She takes about 3 of them over the try line with her. This will be a fantastic position now. Cambridge's scrum has been more dominant all game, and I'm sure they'll give this one a really big shove because they're in a really dangerous position right now.
I don't think Oxford will get much of a better opportunity than this. Before the half-time whistle, Ling waits. It's out quickly. Nice pop off to Ling. Here comes Kennedy to De Cruz. De Cruz under pressure there. Trot tries to get, has it all gone backwards? Referee says play on. There's the popped off ball. Wigington really struggling to secure it there. She's completely isolated on her own, and it's been knocked on in the end by Cambridge.
No advantage. Where's the mark?
Frustration on the face there of Kevin Modridge. He's
He's
almost turning his body away as if he can't look.
He is. I think, you know, as a coach sat up in the stand, you can see the whole pitch, you can see the big picture, you can see where all of the space is, and at the moment Oxford have got so much of it, they're just not being able to get it there effectively enough. The backs there, they've just got to take a little bit more depth, give themselves time to pass that ball on. Cambridge are on their try line, they've got nowhere to go, so they're going to come off and they're going to try and come and get them. That's just what happens. So Oxford just got to take a little bit more depth, move the ball, and it would be a walk-in for their winger.
2 minutes to go until half-time. Another big shove going in.
Early by White.
Ooh, free kick.
Free kick, thank you. Free kick, foot early.
Kate Marks there, the Cambridge captain, just making sure that her team gets back on side quickly. Oxford not looking for anything other than taking it nice and calmly forward. It was only a free kick, so they didn't have the penalty opportunity. So for them. Opara slows down her attack, waits for the support to arrive. Numbers are spreading out left, but plenty of time to rearrange, and there's the hack on from Cambridge. All of that space lost by Oxford, collected by Hurton, and she's trying to straighten up. Support comes from Trot. Trot can't connect. And the appeal from the coach for the high tackle. It was actually Wigington in the end who took it out into touch on this near side. Frustration there perhaps from Oxford, but it will be Cambridge who win their lineup.
Ladies,
yeah, really frustrating stuff. It's turned into a little bit of bar of soap at times, hasn't it? But the distance between the pass from Ling and Kennedy at the moment is just so big. Kennedy's putting Ling under so much pressure to get the ball out there. They've just got to tighten that up. When the ball's in the air, the defence have time to come forward because essentially there's no threat. So they've just got to tighten that up, make sure they're shoring it up a little bit. The space is out wide, that's going to stay there. They've just got to try and get the ball there. At the moment, it's just breaking down in the middle.
Well, there was the appeal there from Kevin Modridge that he thought that last tackle was a little bit high on Wigington. It was Opara who just received a little bit of medical treatment. Still got 3 minutes on the Oxford bin for the time being. Ball comes away. Chan. Got herself in a bit of an awkward body position there, Chan, on the floor. A bit of a tangle. She does manage to get the ball placed backwards, though. Good, strong running feet comes in from Miller, looking for work off her wing. Marks finds support in the form of Bramley, but this Oxford defensive line is really up in the Cambridge faces straight away every time. Perhaps slightly indicative of what they're having to be playing their league.
Thanks, John.
Once again, and it's turnover ball. Oxford with the opportunity. The clock has gone. Next time we hear the referee's whistle, that will be it. That is a penalty, though, so a chance for Oxford to live on. What decision will they take?
Timing.
I imagine, despite the fact neither line-out has been completely functioning this half, they'll go to the corner and give themselves one last shot. We've seen their backs and their ability to run with the ball, given the space that they've got, but my guess would be that the forwards will be keeping this one pretty tight.
Thanks, Neil.
So the last play of the half, then, it's going to be an Oxford line-out. Now, we can see that Mary Coleman is actually trying to see if she can get back on the field of play. She's been off as a blood substitute. She was taken down the tunnel for a few stitches, and she has reappeared now. She's actually had to change her shirt, so when she reappears on the field, she'll have no number. Ball comes in the end from Oxford. They're going to use the backs, weren't expecting that. De Cruz looks up, Trott was there, she offered herself. Hurton can't connect, they're going backwards now, Oxford, not what they wanted. And is it going to run out of space on the far side? There goes the flag. Touch. And that is the half. Cambridge good for their 5-point lead here. Just one try separating these two sides in the first half of the women's varsity. It is Oxford 0, Cambridge 5. Just one try by the Cambridge number 8, Emily Pratt. Just listening in there, the referee having a little chat there with the Cambridge captain, Kate Marks. Doesn't want to hear quite so much chat from her. Yes. Now, the teams will stay out on the pitch for this half-time, and they'll both go off into the huddles as the coaches make their way down from their positions to feed back in all the information that they've had from that first half. But it's been wonderfully competitive, Emily.
Yeah, definitely has been competitive. We can't argue with that at all. I think Cambridge's scrum has been superior, Oxford's defence has probably been superior, but ultimately Cambridge are up on the scoreboard. Oxford have to sort out the fact that they have so much space out wide in those wide channels, and they're just not utilising it at the moment. Cambridge will actually be patting themselves on the back, because despite the fact there is so much space out there, they're defending it really, really well. They're just taking the foot off the gas a little bit, shepherding them into touch, and we've seen so many tackles into touch. I think for both sides, they'll just want to keep hold of the ball, keep things really, really simple. Again, so many turnovers at the breakdown. It's just going to be a case of who can keep the ball best in the second half.
Well, let's take a look then at this Cambridge try. The only thing to separate the two sides. It all came from this scrum, Emily.
Yeah, it did, and it's arguably one of the first times Cambridge got themselves into, the position in the Oxford 22, and they hadn't been there for large parts of the game, and it's all about taking opportunities. They do have the dominant scrum, so that ball at the back was always going to be really sure, and it means that Kate Marks could have a little scoot off the back. And then we spoke about, number 8s running at wingers in 5 metres of space. There should only ever be one winner. If it's over 40 metres of space, we might expect a different outcome. But yeah, take your opportunities, finish the tries, and they're up on the scoreboard, and they'll be really thrilled with that.
Well, that was the delight that all went to Emily Pratt, the one woman who's making the difference between these two teams at the moment. And they will stay out in the field. They're not going to go into the changing room here, these two sides. And if we just focus in a moment on this yellow card that came from this scrum, and when Oxford restart the second half, they will still be a woman down.
Yeah, they will, and it's tough to play with 14 players, and Oxford's defence, as good as it is, will be stretched even more so. There's not a huge amount of time left on the yellow card, but Bernier there, she's been so good defensively off the back of the scrums all game. Again there, she gets herself off really well. She just misjudges it a little bit in terms of the height of that tackle, and obviously grabbing hold of her pigtail, which is unfortunate.
Well, it is discipline that appears to be costing Oxford at the moment. And you talked a little bit about changes they need to make in the Oxford attack. When it comes to Georgia Ling and Fiona Kennedy, we talked about them and their half-back partnership. They're both winning their first blues here today. Do you think perhaps just a little bit better communication between them and ultimately Rugby Nouse would help them?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think Ling's controlling the forwards really well. That length of pass to Kennedy and some of Kennedy's options in terms of when she's choosing to run with the ball, when she's choosing to pass it, and when she's choosing to kick it. I think just a couple of those she could probably pick her head up, identify where the space is, communicate that a bit better around her, because she's got the players like De Cruz outside of her, Trott outside of her. We've seen what a threat they are carrying the ball. We've just got to bring those players into the game and utilise the space that they so evidently have.
Well, the big talk going in there by Kevin Modric, who knows that there is definitely still an opportunity here for both these sides, and he wants it to be his team that actually goes in and takes it. Now, Emily, while you're here with us, it's very important for us to talk a little bit about you, because, of course, at the moment, you're on an England Sevens contract at the moment. You've just come back, as I understand it. You've been playing in Dubai. That sounds very nice at this time of year.
Yeah, it's a tough gig in December, isn't it?
It really is tough, isn't it? Now, at the moment, England are currently 8th in the standings for the England Sevens World Series. How are you feeling about that as a squad?
Yeah, obviously we want to be higher up the table. Of course we do. I think in terms of the improvement that we've made from the first World Series in Colorado onto Dubai, it was massive. You know, we won all our games in day one in Dubai, and it's the nature of sevens. Sometimes it doesn't matter how many games you win, it just matters which games you win. And unfortunately, we lost our quarterfinal game, but actually the improvement that we're making, so many young players in our squad, so many players that are brand new to sevens this year, it's going to take a bit of time. And, you know, it is frustrating for some of us older heads. You called me a veteran earlier, which I'm still not quite over, but that's okay. It takes time, and, you know, we're all working so hard. We'll all go back to the drawing board a little bit and make sure that we're continually improving as we did from Colorado.
And it's quite a nice time of year for you. As much as I'd like to say you enjoy Christmas, you're a professional athlete, so you'll be very good at that, but you're not actually playing again in the series until you're going to go out to New Zealand for an invitational in January, and then the next time the series is in Sydney in February. Yeah,
so again, two countries that are pretty nice to go to in January, February time. But yeah, so there's an invitational tournament in Hamilton, which is fantastic for the girls to be able to go over there and play. It's a regular series for the men's leg. Yeah, great opportunity to go over there and play. And as I said, with so many youngsters that haven't played much sevens, it's just about exposure. It's about getting them out there, playing against some of the best sides in the world, and you know, the experience that you gain from tournaments like that is completely invaluable and a great opportunity. And it does, like you say, mean we can enjoy our Christmas a little bit.
Well, we've got Emily Scarrett here with us then, as we can get ready for the second half of the women's varsity here. And just a quick reminder, if you're looking to watch the England 15-a-side team, they've just completed 3 wins in the autumn series out of 3, beating the USA, Canada and Ireland. They'll next be in action in the Six Nations away to Ireland. That's on Friday, the 1st of February. But we're focusing our attentions on everything Oxford and Cambridge here in the women's varsity, the 32nd clash between the two sides. It's Cambridge who lead 5-0 at the break, and a little mistake there from Oxford from the restart.
Yeah, everything that they will have just spoken about in that half-time, everything Kevin Mogridge will have just spoken about in that half-time is, it's not the perfect way to start the second half, but it's also not the end of the world. So it's important that they don't now drop their heads. Cambridge will be really lifted by that. It's amazing what a daft drop ball can do at the beginning of a second half.
Oxford are still down to 14 at the moment. We're waiting at the moment to see when Mary Bernier will be able to rejoin the field of play, so Cambridge can still try and utilise the extra women on the field. Nice running here by Lara Gibson. Eventually she's scragged back there. And it looks like the blood reversals have been changed there. So Shuttleworth and Coleman back on the field. And here comes Jenny Shuttleworth.
Lost blue.
Cambridge starting very sprightly here in this second half. Kate Marks with that little run round the edge of the ruck again. She didn't like the options available to her. In the end, Emma Pearce. She was on the bench last year, the hooker. Lost ball though.
Okay, the counter is fine, ladies. It was lost forwards first. Scrum blue.
And the dark blues of Oxford very shortly will be restored to a full complement of 15 as Maria Bernier, the Canadian, makes her way back onto the field, studying for a Masters of Business Administration. And She rejoins her teammates, and I'll be very delighted to see her.
They will be very delighted to see her, especially scrum time. Oxford need all their weight and power in those scrums to make sure that they're keeping hold of their ball. It's been a little bit shaky in terms of scrum time for them. They've been getting the ball out really quickly from the back, because anything that's kept in, there's always that potential of losing the ball, as we see Cambridge shove again.
Wow, that's real big scrum coming in there by the light blues, and under big pressure there. It is cleared very nicely by Oxford. They've made a good 15 metres or so there, and Cruz will be happy with her boot.
Yeah, she will. It's a decent clearance from them. Ultimately, Cambridge still have the ball, still in a really good position of the field for them. Up here, there's no wind or anything, but it just seems to be like all the play first half and now into this early second half is taking place on, as we look at this right-hand corner. Yeah, looking forward to see what Cambridge do. We've not seen a huge amount of them from first phase.
Ball comes in, placed down calmly. Here comes Coleman, who had that blast. Oh, there was almost a little run in there and an intercept. Shot a little bit high with that tackle. Referee happy for play to continue. Still Cambridge ball. Ginson. Marks uses those forwards. Still that Oxford defence is strong. Again, it's Chan. Back down the line. Coleman arrives, having to run along with Anna Bidgood hanging off her. Trott arrives to support there, definitely trying to hold this one up. Not interested in turning into a ruck, but somehow Coleman gets it down to the turf.
Hold. Advantage
Just around the corner there. And another warning there, Shuttleworth, who's taken a bit of a battering already. She's the one who gets the high tackle on her.
Tackle away, Blue.
I think Oxford are going to have to be a little bit careful again if that's another warning for them. Ball taken by Bluebell Nichols again as it goes out of play on the far side.
No advantage, we go back to the high tackle, ladies.
Be interesting to see what decision Cambridge actually take here, because it should be within their kicking range.
7 Blue.
It should be, and it will be an interesting one, because as you say, if they slot 3 points here, it will take them above one converted try. And you know, we've had 44 minutes of rugby now and only seen 5 points, so actually every point is going to be really, really critical in this game. Only seen the Cambridge kicker kick one kick, and that was really from out wide, but it didn't look like she had a huge amount of legs on it, and probably represented here in the fact that they've decided to take the scrum.
Big decision then by Cambridge. That would have been just within their range, and Kate Marks, the smiling captain there, is just discussing what option they'll go through off the back of that scrum. Leicester-born Kate Marks, from the West Country, studying history.
Set.
Well, that scrum has been very strong for Cambridge, and that's not going to change.
Hey, ladies, it's just gone to floor. There's no infringement. Same scrum.
Well, they just reset this one. It's a nice opportunity for us as they just settled themselves back down. Just a reminder that the first women's match in the Varsity was actually started back in 1988 by Oxford's Heather Bunting and Cambridge's Sophia Peggers. And they had to fundraise to actually play that fixture. And the fundraising included a lager night. We'd all like to go to that. And as we mentioned right at the start, Oxford had to borrow the men's kits, and the women weren't allowed in Cambridge to play in the light blue. They had to play in red and blue that day. Cambridge just holding on to that. That's really good control coming in from Emily Pratt at the back of that scrum. The ball, was it out is the question. Kate Marks is taking it on. She thinks there's an opportunity. Penalty coming Cambridge's way. Can they recycle? Oh, they just go the wrong way. It was the forward who took it on. There was space out on the left-hand side. They didn't see it coming.
There's no advantage. 9 Blue offside at the scrum.
Well, the warning there, that was wonderful footwork coming in from Emily Pratt.
Offside,
almost reminded
Blue.
me of the England captain, Sarah Hunter there.
Yeah, Sarah Hunter's got great control at the back of a scrum. Not sure about her footwork. I'm allowed to say that, I'm her friend, but yeah. It's an interesting one for me. Cambridge had the penalty and they chose to scrum it. Oh, here we go. Okay, now they've chosen to kick the points. Obviously a couple of metres closer that just makes all the difference for the kicker. Yeah, for me, if they were going to keep it in and try and win the penalty, they were going to be in a similar position. But yeah, it's good decision for them now as long as it goes over.
Well, as we just line up this kick, Emily, obviously you've done a lot of kicking when it comes to rugby. You're a regular place kicker when you play 15s for England. How much do you actually go out and practice?
Yeah, a huge amount. Obviously not so much now playing 7s. My job's a little bit different in terms of getting the restart rather than taking the restarts and things like that. But yeah, it's such a huge skill and something that is growing ever more in the women's game in terms of how important those kicks are, conversions, penalties, all of that sort of stuff. We see time and time again, week in, week out, in terms of the men's game, how important just 3 points can be.
Well, Alex Elgar, she has been practicing and she extends the Cambridge lead. It's now 8 points between these two sides, and Elgar will be delighted with that one after her first one perhaps didn't quite go to plan. So it is Cambridge now who will be a little bit more comfortable as they are now clear ahead.
What I love about that decision as well is she obviously wasn't happy with the first penalty in terms of what she thought her range was. So she, you know, she has the confidence in herself to actually be like, no, I'm not comfortable with this one. Doesn't try and force it. Doesn't try and do something that she doesn't think is within her capabilities.
Well, Oxford, they will be frustrated at the moment. They've played some good rugby, but perhaps it's just been their decision-making in crucial moments that's cost them so far. A little bit more nous then from the Cambridge side. It's a penalty taker, Elgar, who goes forward. It's not often you see a second row taking kicks at goal. But hey, when I was at university, it used to be our number 8 that took them. So, you know, anyone can step up.
Depends who your second row is, I think.
That's very true. Remember there was one John Eales. He used to be quite good at kicking as well, didn't he?
Ladies lost forwards in the tackle.
Amy Cockayne as well has been known to sling a boot at a conversion every now and again.
Amy Cockayne, one of the regular England hookers, happy to step up and take on duties when required.
5. Thank you.
If you're wondering if we were talking about women's rugby, the last time we saw you play 15s, of course, was at the World Cup, Emily. The next Women's World Cup, it's actually been awarded in the last month, but it will be New Zealand who'll host in 2021. It's actually going to be the first Women's Rugby World Cup held down in the Southern Hemisphere, and the tournament will actually be held in Auckland and Whangarei, and that's on New Zealand's North Island, and it's actually going to be extended to 6 weeks. We normally see a World Cup played within a month, but they've extended it to give the women more recovery time between games, which is great to see. As the ball comes away for Oxford down the far side, is this their opportunity? Hurton, she does get that pass away under pressure. Wigginton was there, they need to set this up cleanly.
No hands now, 15, no hands.
Good, strong work there by Lara Gibson. The Cambridge 15 nearly doing that solo-handed. Kate Marks waits for the security, the safety, before she puts that box kick away. Somehow Oxford back on their halfway. Hurton.
Off feet now, 7. Thank you.
Loose ball on the floor. Oxford gather. Link. This time taken forward through Collis. Medical student on the floor. Link, who's studying history, she collects and gathers forward. Coleman grabs it. Oh, she pounced on that. It was loose and she thought, I'll have that. Thank you very much.
Let it come, 7. Let it come. Thank you.
Marks. Oh, very
Wait 18,
calm
wait 18. Thank you.
kick away there by Gimson. She's managed to feed the Oxford backs, though. That looks slightly forward. And our referee will bring it back for the restart.
Forwards, ladies.
A lot of what Oxford are doing at the moment, I keep beating the drum, but there's so much space out wide. They're just passing once they've been tackled. So often we talk about offloads and getting in behind defences and what a potent threat that can be from an attacking point of view. But they've just got to release it before the contact comes. More often than not, they've drawn the player, it's just got to go, because getting tackled, getting slowed down is just stagnating their play a little bit. It means that the space out wide that was there soon disappears.
Bind. Set. Use 9.
Well held by Oxford at that scrum. Oh, there was a little collision there in that midfield. Not sure if it was just an accident. The two players didn't see each other. They're both on their feet, though. And the rushing feet comes in by Amelia Miller.
No hands, blue, release blue.
Pop down the line. We've got our substitute on there, Charlotte Spruzen. She was also a sub last year. Really wants to make her presence felt. Coleman there, she's the player without the number after she got a bit of claret on her shirt in the first half.
No hands, 8, release 8.
You see these nice little pods that are being set up by Cambridge. They know what they're doing. They're just waiting back and waiting to work together as they take the ball forward. That's trying to be suffocated by the dark blues.
No, thank you.
Marks manages to find Pratt. It's a slow and steady stuff so far from Cambridge. Nice phases, everyone being sensible. Boris.
First player, she's fine. Let it come, White, let it come, thank you.
Well, the contest is won on the floor by the dark blues after a huge amount of phases being strung together. 7 there by Cambridge, and Oxford get their reward. So far. Oh, nearly right up in the face there. It was Bluebell Nichols who thought something might be on, but in the end it's Wigington coming down that far side wing. Oxford haven't had a huge amount of attacking ball in this second half. Kennedy again looks up. Here comes Collis. Cambridge are quickly trying to rearrange themselves and work them towards back on the left-hand attacking side of the pitch. Again, here comes Sofa. She's taken on some great ball there. The cavalry arrives just to give Ling a little bit more time on the ball. Nice options on either side. Bernier, the Canadian. Penalty's going to come, and this time it comes the way of Cambridge, holding on the floor there by Oxford. And it was huge frustration there for the dark blues. They finally had the opportunity, and it's gone.
Yeah, I think they're a little unlucky there. I think it's tough. In sevens, you literally get a split-second opportunity to try and take the ball, and if you're not able to clear them out, then it's a penalty immediately. But 15s, you get a bit more time, and you often hear referees refer to it as hasn't survived the clear out, and in my opinion that was one of those occasions where she didn't survive the clear out, didn't take the ball with her.
Kate Marks really happy to get herself involved and put her head down. Light blue ball taken forward this time through Brown.
Let it come, let it come, ball is there.
Tight corners.
No hands, 5.
Here comes Coleman. She thought she saw a little bit of space there. Quickly closed down though by the keyboard history student, Opara.
Let it come 4, thank you.
And that was the warning there to Opara, not to touch the ball again. Marks does get it. It's just there, right at the back feet.
No 4, last
Better body presentation by Cambridge, and I think that might have been one of their discussions there at half-time after the pressure that Oxford are putting on at every single rep. They need to get better at placing that ball back. Kennedy. Gimson there with the place back there for Cambridge, and some of these tackles, they're really hard. It's almost nobody wanted to take that one on. Shuttleworth.
Let it come 6.
And again, that's tricky body presentation there from Cambridge. They're really lucky to hold on to that. The warning there from Collis, who's still trying to hold on to it. Marks down on the floor. 9 phases that Cambridge have worked their way through, now 10. Again, it's really tricky. Cambridge are going down to the ground and they're in a real tricky spot, but also it's how the tacklers are placing them down that causes Oxford almost just as many problems at this breakdown. I think the referee's doing well. Here comes a cross-field kick then. It's going to be gathered out on this near side. And we've got a player still down as a result. I think they will have another look at that.
Stay still, stay still.
Okay, there will be a little bit of time off. We've got an injury then on this near side for that last tackle. It might actually be a shoulder that they're looking at there, so we'll just wait for a few moments for this one to be dealt with, as both players, all the players from either side, they just go and take a little bit of a huddle.
4 and 6.
And we'll keep a very close eye on how that medical treatment goes on. There's going to be a little bit of a warning also going in for the tackles, but it looks like changes are going to be made also for Oxford at this time. It looks like Bernier and Opara will be making their way off the field. And they'll be changing things around. Now, a little bit earlier, Emily, as we just wait for this medical treatment to be dealt with, we were speaking about the Women's Rugby World Cup, first of all heading down to the Southern Hemisphere for the first time, but also that it's being extended. It used to be a 4-week tournament. It's going up to 6 weeks now. How did you feel at that announcement?
Yeah, an amazing opportunity to go and play in New Zealand. I've been lucky enough to play down in New Zealand a couple of times, and it is a phenomenal rugby nation, and to be able to host such a massive tournament down there, they're going to do a fantastic job. And, you know, as players all around the world, an amazing prospect to head down there. And extending the tournament, I think it's a great idea. I think, you know, with the inclusion of the HIA rules at the moment and all of that sort of stuff, last World Cup we lost Danielle Waterman because she picked up a head knock in the semi-final, and there just wasn't enough days for her to recover come the final, whereas hopefully elongating the tournament, it gives players the opportunity, if they're up to it, if they're able to go through that HIA process and be back for the next game, which I think is really important, because Danielle Waterman will be the first to admit, you know, how unbelievably gutting that was for her. Some players won't make it through that process, of course they won't, and that's down to medical provision and all of that sort of stuff, but I think it's important that players are given the opportunity, and irrelevant of head injuries, just the general well-being of players, it's important. You know, 4-day turnaround is so short for a rugby game. It's really, really tough. Your body takes such a battering in those games that I think it's a really, really good thing.
Well, we're just waiting here at the women's varsity for Sophie Farrant to be safely taken off the field of play. You saw there she took a little bit of a clattering as she went down to ground, and the medics are still on at the moment. They can give her a little bit of oxygen just to help her along a little bit, or the gas and air I should say. And as they take their time, and they'll given as much time as they need. We're talking here to Emily Scarrett, who joins us here today at the women's varsity, and we're talking about the World Cup, which is going to New Zealand in 2021. We're talking about them extending the tournament. One of the other reasons for it getting a little bit longer is they're going to be introducing quarterfinals for the first time, and that's going to be quite significant, because we do see in the Women's World Cup, they play the pool stage and all of a sudden almost everyone gets knocked out and it's semi-final time. It does add a little bit more competition and edge, doesn't it, that you don't lose all those big teams so early on. Yeah, absolutely. You know, having the extra stages is really, really important. I think it's really tough when you enter a group game and you almost have no room for error. I understand the nature of the sport, and every game you want to go into and you want to win, but I think in 2014 Ireland ended up knocking New Zealand out, and New Zealand didn't come out of their pool. Quarter-final opportunity, they get that opportunity. So there's two sides to it. Obviously that year was great for us, and we weren't too disappointed that New Zealand didn't come out of their pool, but yeah, I think it's great. It also increases the exposure of our game. It should attract more fans in terms of knockout rugby is way more exciting than group game rugby, and people want to get involved with it because they know it's the end of the line for somebody, and naturally that's way more exciting. Well, we're just seeing there Emily Pratt going over for that try in the first half for her Cambridge side. The extra 3 was added by Alice Elgar in the second half. This is the women's varsity we're watching here, and that's the side who are in the lead at the moment. Just talking through a few things. You can see on the field there the number 23 of Laura Simpson, who's come on. Sorry, it would be Tabitha Bruh who's actually on. And there we go. There's Sophie Farrant. Tears running down her face, but she sat up, which is what we want to see. It's also her leg that she's managed to hurt as well. She took a real clattering as she makes her way down the Twickenham tunnel. She's played admirably, the veterinary medicine student, as she makes her way off. She's actually winning her 4th blue here at Cambridge today, and we all wish her the very best in her recovery. So also change there for Oxford. Wigington is off, and that is Simpson who's on there. So Changes for both 14s and 23s on both sides. Restarting then, it was Oxford who will gather the ball, and they'll have this one for a scrum. They're at the wrong end of the field, though, to where they want to be. They've still got a good 20 minutes or so to work their way down the field and get themselves back into this fixture. Look at that by Cambridge. That's a scrum that any scrum coach would be proud of. Oxford do manage to clear away, manages to be pushed over the heads there of Cambridge, who have to go back and gather. Laura Simpson will be frustrated that that was her first touch of the ball, but here comes Gibson. She's still going. The former Cambridge captain, Lara Gibson, she's going to be scragged at the last by Hurton, but she's made nearly half the length of the field, and Cambridge have to go in and regather, reset, get the ball out. They've got numbers there. Forward this time through Spruzen. Marks looks up. Support arrives in the form of the hooker, Pearce, the theology and religious studies student. Coleman. Oh, that one's gone the way of Oxford. They'll restart with the scrum though. Let's have a quick talk about that last scrum now. Wow, scrum.
Yeah, hugely impressive scrum from Cambridge. They've been doing it all game, but what about this for a run? Just pinning her ears back, taking people on, absolute fire in her feet, so fast. Fantastic tackle as well, actually, at the end. But in my head, I was thinking, oh, it's a decent clearance by Oxford. De Cruz put some decent length on that ball, but again, if your chase isn't up to it, or you kick to such a potent player like they have done there in Cambridge's fullback, then you're really in trouble, and that's a fantastic run. And great to see in a game like this, had just taken people on, running half the length of the field, open space.
And a change for Cambridge as Alice Elgar makes her way off the field, and Sophie Taylor is now on. That's to De Cruz. Big right boot, and again, they're managing to pin Cambridge back in this corner here, making them forced to turn again, and we've got another magic run somewhere in the feet of Gibson. No. Well, from one little bit of sparkle to perhaps a little mistake, and Oxford get their reward and territory.
It's a tough kick, that, isn't it? Everybody's looking at her to do the exact same thing again, but she's still probably breathing in the oxygen and recovering from the last one. Great tackle, great support from Oxford, and now finally they've got themselves out of their own half and have an opportunity to release those potent backs.
A little bit of credit there for that tackle that went in on Lara Gibson there by the captain of Oxford, Abby De Cruz. She really pinned her arms back so she couldn't use them in that pass. Oxford with the opportunity. Ling looks up. Kennedy is there. Trott. She manages to push it out. That's nice work there. Potts struggles in the tackle, and it's Hurton. Hurton, nice spin out of that tackle. Flying comes in there by Nichols to slow things down. There's De Cruz again. Again, tricky body position, but she's done well there to spin that one round on the ground. It's a real speedy pass going in there to Biggood, who did well to hold. Kennedy there, just kicking that one down, thinks that she can find a bit more time and space on the ball for her players, but the chase has got to be there, and Cambridge gather. Shuttleworth.
Tackle, release 5.
I have to say, you can feel and hear the breathing that we're picking up on our microphones around the pitch at the moment. Both these sides, they will slightly be blowing around this time. They are amateur players. Benches could be important for both of them. Marks takes it on. Arrives once again. It's lost ball, but it's all backwards. A little bit scrappy here, but Cambridge are surviving. Oh, nearly stolen ball. You could just see from the reaction there of Fiona Kennedy of what the opportunity was, and lost so quickly.
No advantage, ladies.
How good could that have been?
Just a knock on.
Oh, excellent read from her. She's seen the opportunity in terms of coming out of the line. She knows where that pass is going to go.
There's your mark,
Oh,
ladies.
it's a tough one. Might have well been a Cambridge defender that would have made it a chase, would have made it a really tough one for her to actually finish, but you can just see she knows what a potential opportunity that was. I'm sure she'll get another one. She'll have a lot of time with hands on the ball. There's still such a long time left in this game.
Well, Fiona Kennedy, the Oxford fly half, she's Glasgow born, but she did actually go to school not too far here from Twickenham. She went to Kingston Grammar. She's also played for Middlesex County. All those years on the pitch, clearly helping her here today. But it's still her team that trail. Well, I certainly think that the Cambridge scrum coach has won their money in this fixture so far. Packed on in the end by Cambridge. They saw a bit of space there. Curtin in the end who had to tidy that one up for Oxford. She's very calm.
No, White lost 9. Thank you.
Lynn finds Kennedy. Kennedy hasn't gone for the boot as much in this second half as Truck goes forward. Clearly some instructions going her way at half-time. Popped off ball. Bramley. Another veterinary science. There are 6 vets out there for Cambridge today. There's 5 doctors for Oxford. This time taken forward through Sofa. She had a very busy passage of play slightly earlier, been a little bit quiet in the last 10 minutes or so. Morrison. Back down the line.
Not held. Tackle.
Paced back ball. Calm stuff here from Oxford, considering they're playing all of this inside of their own half. Eventually the boot to ball does come in there from Kennedy. She'd seen enough. She knew that something had to change. She's given it to Gibson though. Marks almost had to go in and do a little bit of ruck duty herself. She sends off the forwards. Right then. Cambridge, and you just see Mary Coleman there a few times. She likes that channel, happy to take the ball forward, not really looking to use the backs. Used almost as that battering ram opportunity.
Just stay one, just stay there, stay there. No, 19, don't play
the
hard.
warning there, just going in there to our American replacement there for Oxford, Verdoonen. Big good now. And you really do feel at the moment that both these sides, fitness could play out in this next 15 minutes or so to see who can survive this. It was so hard from both sides in the first 60, and it's who can get through this and hold on. Penalty goes the way then of Oxford. It is a bit scrappy at times here, Emily, but we do have to remind people these are amateur players.
Yeah, they are amateur players, and you know they're literally giving everything they possibly can for their university, for their shirt, for all of those things. And you know, we spoke about the occasion and being here playing at Twickenham. That will give them an extra 10% that they didn't realise they had as well. Yeah, it is getting a little scrappy. I'd love to see Cambridge. They're kicking the ball a bit, but I'd love to see them pushing it down into corners. You know, they're up on the scoreboard, so they've got to try and pin Oxford now.
And it's little mistakes like that, not finding touch, that could hurt both sides. Oxford who have to suck that decision up.
Lost now, Blue.
Penalty straight away.
Get one attempt. Hands in the ruck.
I think Cambridge are a bit confused. They didn't realise then that the ball was actually theirs. Now they come forward, and they've gone for the scrum option again, and it's sensible because they're so dominant in that area.
Yeah, it's sensible, and it also winds down the clock a little bit more, which obviously is in their favour massively at the moment. It's Oxford have got to be careful. You know, they've been on the wrong side of the penalty count all game. and if they continue to do that, you know, they need the ball. They need 2 scores at the moment. So if they continue to be on the wrong side of the penalty count, they're going to find this next 15 minutes really, really frustrating. And the more frustrated you get, the more penalties you tend to give away.
Time's off if you want more.
Interesting change here for Cambridge. They've brought on Jessica Abala, who is a German player. A lot of excitement around her as she's actually played quite a bit of handball in Germany. And there's a lot of excitement about what she can actually do on a rugby pitch. Wins her first blue today. She's come over to Cambridge to study a master's in bioscience and enterprise.
You then can't take the ball with you.
We just have a little bit of treatment going on at the moment to Emily Pratt, who's taken on a lot of balls so far for Cambridge, and she's just going to have a little bit of calm time. Jack Baird, probably the happier of the 2 coaches at the moment, as he looks back calmly, but still 15 minutes on the clock. This certainly isn't won yet by Cambridge.
No, definitely not. 15 minutes is a really, really long time in a game of rugby, but, you know, in a game that hasn't been that high scoring, I'm sure Kevin Mogridge there, as we see him, will be getting a little bit twitchy because he'll feel that his side has had so many opportunities that they just haven't been able to take. And, you know, now it's about keeping hold of the ball, being in the right areas, and actually somebody doing something just to change the game a little bit. Look at that centre partnership with your captain and your big, hard ball carrier, and hoping that somebody can do something to change this around for them.
Just a reminder that the men's varsity will be coming up on BBC 2 a little bit later. See one man who used to be in charge of the whole of the RFU watching on there, one Rob Andrew, now spends a lot of his time watching cricket.
Stop, ladies, just relax. Take your time. Take your time.
A little bit of cramp you can see coming in there in the Cambridge, sorry, the Oxford front row. And this is what we were talking about.
Yes. Okay.
When these are amateur players, you're going to see a lot there. Plenty of former favourites packed into the crowd here to watch both these matches here.
Sorry, ladies, you're both in blue.
So as I was saying, the men's match will be coming up on BBC 2 a little bit later today. Coverage starts at 2:45 with kickoff at 3 o'clock.
Cheers, Harry.
Last year, the men's varsity won by Cambridge. Oh, we've got a rower in the house as well. Matthew Pinsent.
Bind. Set.
Matthew Pinsent, who went to Cambridge, of course, looking for a light blue victory here then. Penalty to Oxford, 1 at the scrum, and that will be a real fillip for them.
Not sure many people would have called that one from the, you know, the rest of the game and how the scrums have been going for them. Interesting to see that Oxford have now taken off their 10, Fiona Kennedy. De Cruz looks like she's gone into that 10 spot, and the replacements come on at 12. So will that change how they're playing? Let's hope so. De Cruz has been taking the ball on all game. We've seen her with those one-handed offloads, etc. Now it's about her managing the game, managing the forwards around her, and releasing those backs.
All the pressure on Abby De Cruz here, and what Oxford could do with a nice bit of ball from this line out. They've got a short up front. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Made them a good few metres as well. Finally, Oxford into the Cambridge 22. Hard work comes in from Collis. Oh, it was loose on the floor there. Looked like Cambridge were trying to steal. The warning came in. De Cruz looks up, decides to pop back inside. Really nice. Zoe Durbin there. The replacement taking it forward. This is the Oxford opportunity. They need to take this. De Cruz wants to go on her own. She's lost it. It's gone forwards. We're playing advantage to Cambridge, and it needs to be calm, light blue heads now. They have got the advantage.
Advantage over.
All over. And a chase back goes. It will be an Oxford line out. An opportunity gone, but another one made.
Yeah, exactly that. It's the double-edged sword, isn't it? We've seen with De Cruz all game. She's carried that ball in one hand. She's got through the tackle. She's been able to offload it to the other runners. And there we just see the other side of it, where unfortunately she just loses the ball in contact. Love this line out from Oxford. The line out has been a little bit shaky in terms of whether they're definitely going to secure their ball or not. That one they had to secure their ball, so they take a cheeky one at the front, make easy yards, keep hold of the ball and get to build again.
Nice line out. They look It wasn't the best set-up maul, I think, that Oxford will want to look back on, but they've managed to scramble that one down onto the floor. Ling finds De Cruz.
Ball is available.
Round the corner. Hard yards coming in by Cartwright. Medical student in her 6th year now. Cruz looks up. Here comes Hurton. Popped up ball on the outside. Well brought back in there by Simpson, who knew that the space was running out. More support in from Durban, a busy woman since she's on the field. Calling for it. Sofa thinks she can go through. She's carried well today.
Rock!
De Cruz wants to go herself, gets the popped up ball away to Carter. 4 meters left to go. Cambridge are flying over that ball. They're trying to counteract this. It's there for anyone to take. Here come Oxford. Looks like that one's landed on the Cambridge side. They live again just when they needed it.
Release blue 13. Release, thank you. No hands too.
Cambridge, they've been under such pressure this last 5 minutes, and somehow they are just coming away with the ball again and again. Oxford will be wondering, what do they have to do? Well, it was a low scuttering kick. Is this the opportunity? Still running through is Simpson. Needs a good placement. There comes the ball. Recycled then. Ling looks up. Here comes Sofa again.
Let it come to you, thank you.
Ling to De Cruz. De Cruz feeds then to her hook at Bidgood. Very nice flat pass. No, it wasn't flat, it was forward. And Cambridge once again will get the ball at the scrum. What do Oxford have to do to get over the line, Emily?
Yeah, it's a really, really tough one for them, isn't it? They've got so many opportunities. We spoke in the first half about how good their defence was and how they were coming up and making some shots, but Cambridge's defence, not as aggressive, not as hard-hitting in terms of the shots that we're seeing, but it's so effective. Keeping them out, choosing their moment to counteract the ball and get beyond right on their try line was a fantastic decision. Yeah, Oxford just got to keep going. They've got to keep going. They're going to be frustrated, but they've just got to keep going.
We did get our facts wrong a little bit earlier. Matthew Pinson went Oxford. The clue was the dark blue tie and edge of his shirt. So there we go. We live and we learn. So yes, Matthew Pinson did go to Oxford. He'll be looking for a dark blue win today. He'll be a little bit frustrated at the moment at what's going on in this match when it comes to the Oxford women, who've had so much ball towards the end of this clash. They've tried everything to get over the line. Hasn't happened yet.
Bind. Set.
Well, that's a better scrum from Oxford. Still can't quite stall this Cambridge attack as Coleman comes forward. Bluebell Nichols places it down. Sensible heads here from Cambridge, just calmly setting things up. They're not forcing anything.
Lost blue, release blue.
I know it's confusing with the light and the dark blues. When our referee, Nikki O'Donnell, is saying blue, she means Oxford. When she says white, she means Cambridge. And here's a penalty opportunity then for Oxford.
Not releasing. Well done.
Kate Marks puts the ball down so slowly there. Very sensible nous.
Very sensible indeed. And this is massive now for Oxford. They've taken so long to get in this position, to get anywhere near an opportunity to score, and they have to take this one. If they don't take this one now, this could really spell trouble in terms of the outcome of this game.
Can Kevin Modridge watch this line out? If Oxford can score now,
5 is your mark.
That makes this match a live wire right until the final whistle. Look at the tension there on the face. Oh, can they even watch? Ball comes in. They manage to find their women in the form of Collis. The most important maul here. And it's going to be used. The backs to Cruz, just manages to hold on to it. She looks to go herself. High ball out to Trott. Trott can get the final pass away. They're going to try and skin them on the outside. No, Potts goes back inside. She's going to set it up again. Collected. It's going to be round the corner once again. This is the closest that Oxford have been. Can they finish things off? 1 metre left. Gathered in the end by Collis. She goes forward. Did Collis have it over the line? Look at the joy on the face there of not just Collis but also the coaches. And Oxford get their try. They'll need the conversion as well. But we've got a game on here with 6 minutes left to play in the women's varsity.
What an exciting finish this now tees up. I think Oxford made hard work of it, if we're completely honest, but if you look at them, they don't care. They're over the try line, they've got 5 points on the scoreboard, and now the next 5-6 minutes of this game is going to be such an exciting one. The Oxford fans are on their feet. It makes for an amazing finish to this game.
Well, here we go. Katie Collis, the medical student in her 4th year. She's actually born in Redhill. She's just to the south of London. She went to the City of London Freeman's School, which is out sort of Epsom way. And it was all made on that far side. We have to give some credit to Helen Potts, who was out there, a little bit isolated on her own, knew to bring it back inside. And there was the final finish there by Katie Collis. Took a little bit of a while for her to realise the excitement of it, but pressure on at the moment. Abby de Cruz.
That's a fantastic finish from her. She's got 2-3 people in front of her. She just keeps her legs going. She understands the importance of it.
No conversion then by de Cruz, so it'll be interesting the options that Oxford go for over this next 4.5 minutes. It could have been that they went to try and just get a penalty, but now they've got to go for the try to try and win it. Cambridge are just going to have to try and close it out.
Yeah, they probably played like they were trying to play it out in the 50th minute, so they've just got to go back to that a little bit, keep it tight, keep the phases going, keep players around the ball. Oxford all day long have turned the ball over at the breakdown, so they've got to make sure that they look after it. And Oxford now, they've got to chance their arm a little bit. They don't have to try and win it in the next 30 seconds. 4 minutes is still a long period of time in a game of rugby, but they've got to make sure that they're throwing the ball around a little bit.
So late change here for Cambridge. The Canadian host Shizaki is on the field of play. Jenny Shuttleworth has come off, and here come Oxford. They've got to give everything for 5 minutes. They're at the wrong end of the field for the time being.
Rock, your hands white.
Look at the pressure going in there. Great rocking coming in from Cambridge. They've managed to recycle that ball. They want this win. They want it badly. Can they finish it off? Ball comes out to Bruck.
She's first.
Stolen ball. Once again, it's Trott who was involved with that. Did she keep that in? No, the flag starts to fly. Oh, it's tense out there, and the crowd know it.
2 blue.
You can literally feel the tension up here. Everything that happens, you can see all the Cambridge supporters stand up, then the Oxford supporters stand up. It's really, really, really tight. Oxford have just got to keep hold of the ball. That opportunity there, they turn it over. They've just got to keep it. Sophie Trott's got to just drive herself infield, look after the ball, and give themselves an opportunity to go again.
Well, Susie Rees has just come on for Oxford. Anna Biggood has made her way off. It's a bit of a tougher one for Susie Rees to come straight back into, as the instructions are just thrown on there by Jack Baird. He looks reasonably calm, but you can tell by how quickly he's speaking. He knows how important this line-out will be for Oxford.
It's the sign of a good coach, isn't it? Looking calm on the outside and chaos probably going on inside his head, and what the messages that he's delivering.
Okay. Mark set. Time on, please.
Well, the arm was up in the direction originally of Oxford, but it is going to be a Cambridge put-in then at this line-out.
Tackle, release White. Release White.
Ball comes back and away. Oxford then, 3 minutes left to try and do something. comes back. This is not where Oxford want to be. They're too close to their own line, and time is quickly running out as it pushes out to the far side. Strong running lines coming in.
16, stay there, stay there.
Sofa once again. Back to De Cruz. She's got no choice. She knows she needs to punt this down the path to get a little bit of space. It was well inside the 22, but she has given a line out to Cambridge. So with the clock running short,
See there, Blue.
we can announce that the player of the match chosen to win the Peggers Bunting Trophy was the Cambridge number 11, Amelia Miller, the psychological and behavioural sciences student, winning her first blue.
Thank you.
And she is player of the match. She's looking up at the big screen at the moment, wondering, why is my face up there? Well, you played very well, Amelia Miller. Game's not over yet, though, less than 2 minutes. Sofa. Ling. De Cruz. Oh, there's an opportunity. She needs to get the pass away. Is this the Oxford opportunity? They take it back inside. Carter knew that it wasn't on, and Cambridge were closing down the gap. De Cruz once again. The clock is closing down. Trott once again is scragged on this near side. And it's Bluebell Nichols who puts her away. And Cambridge get the line out, and we can expect them maybe to put it up the jumper slightly here, Emily. I believe is still the technical term for it.
It definitely still is the technical term. I don't think there'll be any surprises in what happens now from Cambridge's point of view, but just that 13 matchup all game. Bluebell Nicholas, Sophie Trott, such a great matchup. Both hit each other so hard, both carry so hard. It's been a really, really good one to watch play out.
Let's go, ladies.
Well, Amelia Miller's just found out that she's player of the match, and she's delighted with it. Oh, there we go. I believe that's what the young people call a dab.
Oh, don't know, sorry.
30 seconds to go. Collected at the base.
Lost white no.
Oxford have it. They've got a long way to go here, though. De Cruz looks up, gives the dummy, goes herself. Oh, it's in that one hand again. It looks so dangerous when she does it. It's loose on the floor.
Thank you.
Ling manages to pass down the line. Here comes Trott. Trott! Oh, she's done so well, Trott. Is this going to be the glory? Oh, she loses the ball in the tackle right at the last. A massive tackle that came in there. It's a match-winning tackle, because the clock is now gone. The Varsity will belong to Cambridge. They hold on to the title that they won last year, but what a contest it has been. Cambridge women win the Varsity 8 points to 5. What a finish, Emily Scarrett.
What a finish. So good to see the passion and the, both sides giving everything right until the very last. The player on the floor is surrounded by people, so can't quite see who it was that made that tackle at the end, but I think it was a forward chasing down a back, and that just epitomises what this means to Cambridge. It means everything to them, working right until the last, and I think she's absolutely exhausted.
Well, you can see what it means to both sides. The celebrations you can see on the left-hand side of the field that go the way of Cambridge, but the huddle, they're all in together. Oxford, they gave so much, but once again, it's a light blue day in the women's Varsity. The hugs and the cuddles working their way round. Cambridge won last year as well. It was 24-0 last year, but we've had a real contest here this year. And there are tears. It doesn't matter which side that you're on. That's what it means. In there in the middle, you can also see Jack Baird. You can see there's a number of former Cambridge players there. Also former Cambridge captain mixed in there, watching on. And we're actually going to hear now from the player of the match, Amelia Miller.
Yes, Sarah, I'm here with Amelia Miller. Look at that smile, Amelia. Just tell us about the emotions in that. Hold on, you've got your captain, Kate Marks, here as well.
That wasn't an easy game at all. Opta put in a shift, we put in a shift, but it was a team effort. It was no individual performance. We worked as a team. We knew it was going to be tough. We knew it was going to be tougher than any of our league games that we faced. And it's not even on me. This is all on Kate. She fucking led us through that so well. I'm so happy.
Well, we're with Kate in a moment, but one more to you, Amelia. How hard did you players have to work when Oxford scored their try and really came back into it?
I mean, like, the timing of that wasn't great, and if they converted that, it would have been a 1-point game. So the 6 minutes after that, we just had to, like, grit our teeth, go for it, and just not let them past us for the rest of the game.
And Kate Marks, the Cambridge captain. How proud are you of all your teammates?
I honestly could not be prouder of every single man in my squad today. Fucking 1 to 24, our travelling reserve as well. They have all put in an absolute shift today. And I honestly could not be prouder of every single one of those girls.
Yeah, apologies for the language, but Kate, I can see a lot of emotion at the moment. How much have you worked for this moment?
We have worked so hard. The last 12 weeks, every single girl has earned their shirt today. They have played for the light blue shirt. We have played for the girls that came before us. A 30th anniversary year, and I honestly could not be prouder to be a captain of this squad today.
Well played, Kate. Well played, Amelia. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to Chris Jones, who's down at pitch side, speaking to our player of the match, Amelia Miller, alongside her captain, with a slightly fruity language, which we do apologise for, again, from Kate Marks. So it's Amelia Miller who will be presented with the Peggers Bunting Trophy for player of the match. Peggers and Bunting, of course, the two women who actually started off the very first varsity 30 years ago. And as Cambridge will go and make their way back together, they'll all be reunited after Miller and Marks have done their interviews. There's a few more photos and things to go ahead. And just seeing the smiles on their faces there, it's wonderful that the women's varsity is played here at Twickenham. Emily, just give us a little bit of a taste of what it's like to play here at Twickenham when you're not used to this kind of, not just stadium, but the crowd and the whole experience.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even when you go right back to when you arrive at the ground and you get off the bus and you just see the stature of this place, and you walk through the concourse, and, you know, for many of these players, I'm sure they'll have been here to watch internationals, and it's so iconic. Come through the changing rooms, and you see all the England branding, and you can see all of the internationals up on the wall, and then you come out the tunnel, and then this place just opens up to you. The field is fantastic, the stadium is unreal, and, you know, it's not packed in terms of everybody that's here right now, but the noise that the supporters have made will have just encouraged them so much, and this is a fantastic experience that they'll never forget.
Well, at the moment, Oxford is slowly making their way up to receive their runners-up medals here in the varsity. It's not the position that you want to be in, but there's plenty of people to congratulate them. I can also tell you we have seen that Sophie Farrant, who took a bit of a clattering for Cambridge in the second half, she's back out in the field. She's actually on crutches. We thought she'd initially damaged her shoulder, but not. You can see the faces there. But one of those shirts is Rochelle Clark, England's most ever capped player, male or female, who's helping with the presentations today. Very recently retired, but still keeping very busy, and it's wonderful that she's here to support this occasion.
Yeah, fantastic, and it's great for these players as well to be able to shake hands with somebody like Rocky Clark. As you say, she's the most capped England player ever, man or woman. She's, you know, given so much to every shirt that she's ever put on. You know, as these girls have out here today, and it's great for her. She's retired from international rugby, but she's still repping for Wasps. She's just on her way back from a little injury that she sustained not long ago, so, you know, she might be old in years, but she's still going strong.
Well, if you have been inspired to play rugby, if you're looking for a club, just go to the club finder pages on the RFU website. Also, you can attend one of the warrior camps that they set up just for women. It's where you can go and have a go at rugby without any commitment to any club. They're up and down the country. Again, just go to the England Rugby website for more details. Well, we're waiting at the moment for Cambridge to step up and collect their winners' medals, and then, of course, finally they will be presented with the trophy. But it will be tankards, first of all, that are presented. First stepping up there, you can see, is the Cambridge replacement going forward, Sophie Taylor. And they work their way forward. And a little mention there for Rochelle Clark, who of course plays for Wasps. They're currently 4th in Tyrrell's Premier 15s table. If you want to go and watch them this very weekend, they're going to be taking on Thurwood Waterloo Ladies. That one taking place at Twyford Avenue in Acton. It's a 1:30 kickoff this Saturday. If you want to go and watch a little bit more women's rugby. And she is smiling away. It's very odd watching the autumn internationals without Rochelle Clark and Danielle Waterman there. Very strange.
Yeah, both of them such fantastic servants for English rugby, and like you say, it is a bit strange not having them there, and I'm sure the players involved in those squads, it would have been strange not having them there as well. Rocky's both of them are very big characters and bring such a lot to the environment and the changing room, so it's now up to other players to fill the void that they left, but yeah, both fantastic players and both still playing.
Well, somewhere at the back there is the very small figure of the 5'2" Kate Marks, who will be presented with the Rhino Trophy. But as I said, she's the smallest player. They'll have to make a little bit of a space for everyone to see that she's been given the trophy. She's hiding back there somewhere. There you go. She's lifting it up. There's Kate Marks, supported by Mary Coleman. And there you go. Cambridge are the victors of the 32nd Women's Varsity on the 30th anniversary of the very first Women's Varsity match. It is once again a light blue day. Well, what will happen to that trophy next? It's not one you can actually drink out of. And there is the Varsity trophy itself as well. You can definitely drink out of that one, so I think that's the one we'll be heading into the changing room. It's a little bit early in the day, but hey, when you finished your rugby match, hey, it's 1:20 in the afternoon.
It's never too early, is it, when you've just won a varsity game? They've all got tankards. That cup, yeah, definitely. And that's what's special about these competitions. Varsities, as I say, throughout the country, they're iconic and they mean so much to everybody. And they'll be all having a drink together post-game and having a great time this evening, I'm sure.
Well, that victory will mean a lot then to Cambridge, as they're just starting to close that gap on the number of wins they've got. That's 13 victories for Cambridge in the varsity compared to Oxford's 19. But that is it then from the women's varsity. Don't forget the men's match is coming up on BBC 2. Gets underway at 2:45, kick-off at 3 o'clock. But it's all over here then at the women's varsity. It's a Cambridge victory as they beat Oxford 8 points to 5.